Everyone, this is Edwina with Elegant Creations, and I wanted to do a video on my appliques on how I dye them. Rosie had requested to see if I had a video on doing the dyes, so I thought I'd do a little short one. I know she likes a lot of the pink ones, but this is just a lot of the colors that I do. The blues, the tans, the pinks, and the purples, and some greens. Greens are very hard to do, but we used to do the sage green. That was very hard. But the burgundies, I use cherry red. And what I do is I get an old pan. And one I was throwing away. And then I put cherry red in there, and I put hot water or water in there. And then I put in the stove, and I almost bring it to a boil. I just get it real hot, and then I put my appliques in there, and that will get me that real pretty red. Okay, and then the blue, I use like an evening blue, and then a little bit of, I think it's royal blue. I have to look. And then I put it into the caramel after I put in those two colors because they come out kind of bright. So then I put it in camel watered down. Okay, so I'm gonna, and then the pinks, I have 3 different versions. So this is wine, this is cherry red, and this is petal pink. And I did dip these in the camel, which is like a tan color, and diluted water, because I wanted to dry these, but I am going to show how I did them. And they are still a little light, but you can darken them. I didn't put that much in the petal pink, and in the cherry red, I didn't put that much dye to begin with. But these were dipped in the tan. And then these ones were done the same way, but I dipped them in a purple, and this is my purple. And it's watered down, and I just used very little, and it's very thin. Kind of bring that down, see how thin it is. And it's hot water, and then you just dip it in there real quick, and I will do one of these in there. Okay, and then that gives you the mauve color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and I have 3 different dyes. So I'm going to start with the cherry red, which is this one right here. And I do squeeze that out. Just dipped it real quick. I do wet my applique first, and then I wring it out, because it will take the color very well. So I don't want it too bright. Okay, and then this is the petal pink. And see, I just dip it real quick. Then I put in water, put cold water on it. Okay. It's this one, these two are pretty close in color, the cherry red and the petal pink, so whichever one you have. Then I'm going to do a wine. And these have all been wet. These are a little, this one turns out to be a little bit more mauve color, a little darker. Okay. So once they dry, they come out like this, okay? So I'm going to dip these in my tan. Get my finger out of my my tablet. Okay, so I did do some tan here, and it's watered down, very watery. Maybe you can tell. Okay, and then you just dip these in there, and it will change the color a little bit. You can leave them in there for just a little bit longer if you want, just to kind of. Okay, I'm gonna put that in there in my sink. It lightens it, it tones it down. So this was the petal pink, so it will tone it down to that color right there. Okay, this is the cherry red. And you can put more of the tan if you want. It's really up to you. Just kind of play with it, but I put very little in there. And sometimes if I already have some made up, I will pour what I have and then add more water to it. Okay, so it made a big difference in how, and you can always leave it a little longer if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and leave this one longer. Let's see how it comes out. Okay, so these ones I won't blow dry because this is the colors that I got. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I get. I'm going to wet this one. This is the petal pink. I'm going to wet it because I don't want it to get too much. This is my purple, and you just dip it in there. And you can add a little bit of black to it. On my purple, I add black and purple, and I get like a plum color. I think it's a really pretty color, and that's the one I use. I use these are all the colors that I use: the pink, purple, tan, and see the difference makes it a little bit lighter. So you just kind of have to play around with it, and these are the diluted. This is diluted. This is not as much diluted. I just, this petal pink, you could put more if you want it a little bit brighter. But I do wet all my appliques. There's some appliques that won't take as good, and you don't have to water those down. You kind of have to play around with it. You can dry it if it doesn't come out, real bright. Dry it real good, and then put it a little bit more dye in your bath, and then put it in. Then you can leave it a little longer if you want, and then that might take a little bit more. But these ones that I have take the dye very well. I mean, you saw that I just dipped them in there, and the color came out. And if it comes out too bright, you can always put it back in the 10. Okay, this is the one I left in the 10. I left it for a little longer. So it just kind of tones it down. It just kind of mutes a color where it's not so bright. And I do that with my blue. And let me see if I find the blues that I use. I've got all colors here. I tried the apple green. That's not too bad. I use teal sometimes. No, I don't have any blue. I use the royal blue and an evening blue. I don't have any more. And that's the color I use. I'm in my bathroom. I'm sorry. This is where I dye all my stuff. So the camera kind of went right there. But it's very, very simple to do. So if you want to dye your your appliques, and I do put them in cold water after I dip them, and then I blow dry them or put them in the dryer. If I have a whole bunch, I'll put them in the dryer, and the cold water sets it in. But you do not have to leave it an hour. You don't have to leave it long. It's just very, very quick because these appliques are made out of cotton, I guess. See how pretty I left that one in the 10. And this one has a little bit of purple. And you can do more purple if you want. Just depends on what you want. I don't like my stuff very bright, so I do a lot of the muted mauves. And another color too is cocoa brown. I have used that one before, and that will give you a really pretty mauve, but I didn't have any of that. But if you like the mauve color, some of you like the more brighter pinks, but just to tone it down, just use the camel or the 10. The 10 tends to be a little green, so I use the camel, but you just have to play with it. But I use a lot of these little containers, put hot water in it, put just a little bit. Let me see if I can find a lid, and I'll show you how much tan I use. Let's see if I can do that. Or if I have a lot. It's just even less than that to dilute it down. Then I'll put a bigger container, and I'll put hot water in it. So it takes very little, okay? And I will put this in here because I will use it. I'll put more and use it in my container. So I get a lot of these coffee containers, and then I put whatever color it is, and I make a big bath, and I will dye a whole bunch and have a lot of different pinks, because at different times I was doing pinks, and I might have had some left over, or I do a whole bunch of purples or the blue. And the 10 is very pretty too. That is a camel, and that one can tend to be kind of dark, so I have to be real careful how I do that one too. But wet your applique first, and then put them in the dye bath. And then, you can keep repeating it until you get the color you want if it's too light. So, and then you can leave it in there a little bit longer. So just kind of play around with it. So I hope this is helpful for you. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I will be happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.